How's it going, everyone? Welcome back. Hopefully everyone's having a lovely day. So the Cincinnati Bengals gonna head back home after a big win against the Arizona Cardinals. Bengals find themselves sitting at 2-3. Seattle Seahawks over here coming up the bye week. Coming up the bye week of what was a very strong start to the season. Seahawks starting 3-1 on the season. And they're going to come in here once again. I don't know if it's the Geno Smith effect. I don't know if it's because, well, I don't want to say it's they have no star players because we've heard a lot of these players on this team. I don't know what the reason it is, but it always feels like the Seattle Seahawks team flies under the radar. And last season it was a solid team. This season it is a solid team. A lot of it has to do with their head coach, who Pete Carroll, I believe, is one of the best coaches the NFL has today. And they're going to go up against this Cincinnati Bengals team where there's a lot of hype surrounding them to start this season. There's a lot of talk about him right now. Bengals 2-3. Bengals feel like, again, this is a must. I don't want to say it's a must win, but you want to be 3-3 because the back half of this schedule for the Cincinnati Bengals is a very, very tough one. So you feel like it's a must win in that situation, but it's not a must win and where you look at it and say on the schedule and say this is an easy win, Bengals are winning, because no, this is a tough Seattle Seahawks team. A Seattle Seahawks team, by the way, that it's going to be interesting to see how they match up. Right now, the third lowest ranked team in the league when it comes to passing yards allowed per game. The Seahawks are. Joe Burrow finally looking healthy, looking a lot more like Joe Burrow last week against the Arizona Cardinals. We've seen him more mobile. We've seen him stepping up in the pocket. We've seen him extending plays. We've seen a lot of confidence on that leg. We've seen a 63-yard touchdown pass to Jamar Chase. All the boxes were being checked off by Joe Burrow last week, who felt like he could not move these first few weeks of the season, again, due to that injury, and teams are capitalized on it. And now they kind of have to respect that, hey, that deep ball is going to be there again. Burrow being able to be elusive in a pocket's going to be there again. And he's really got a chance to step up and make some plays and get this Bengals team back on a winning track. Meanwhile, it's the Seahawks defense where you look at it, there's not one predominant pass rusher, but this is a team that's got 6 different players who have 2 or more sacks in a season. This is a team that has sacked the quarterback the 5th most in the league. And mind you, that is with them already having 1 day or 1 week off this season. They have found a way. They have found a way to knock that quarterback down. They have found a way to hit that quarterback. And that's going to be the big thing here for the Bengals. And it's a Seahawks defense that allows the yards through the air, but it's a Seahawks defense that can hit the quarterback. How is this Bengals offensive line going to fare? They looked really solid last week. They're going to have to play solid again this week. This is, as we know, a very, very, I don't want to say tedious, but interesting situation with Joe Burrow right now, because you don't want to, because the more he gets hit, the more the Bengals are going to be potentially probably play the conservative game, potentially run it a little bit more, because at the end of the day, that cap still is in the back of their head. They don't want to rush things if they don't have to. But I think the Bengals game plan's easy here. You have to throw the football. You have to sling that rock. You have to understand the matchup here. That is where the yards are going to come. That's where this offense is going to click. Joe Mixon last week, 3.2 yards per carry on 25 carries. We've heard it a lot this season. Run the football, run the football, run the football, run the football. As if the Bengals are the second coming of the 2021 Tennessee Titans or what have you there. I understand it. We all understand it. You wanted to keep Burrow upright. And Joe Mixon was running with a pretty good spark in that step there throughout the weeks. And you want to run that football. But fact of the matter is, Arizona last week, bottom 10 run defense in the league, makes an average 3.2 yards per carry. Anytime the Bengals were in a situation where it felt like you knew they was going to run, there was a really good chance they was going to run. They got stuffed. We've seen them run it three times on first and goal to go. They couldn't pick it up. And that's been the story of the Bengals run game throughout the years now, in the last couple of years, where it's when they're in these situations where you kind of know the run's coming, they haven't really been able to get that push off. They haven't really been able to find that hole in the run game. And unfortunate for the Bengals, but it is kind of what it is. So if you're the Bengals, you say, hey, we got to get off to a strong start, and we have to get off to a strong start throwing the football, because you can't afford to go 3 and out, I don't think, not against this Seattle team, because this is a Seattle team that I think you can expect. They'll run that football 25 times with Kenneth Walker in this game if you allow them to. And Kenneth Walker, 4.5 yards per carry this season. And Seattle not afraid to run the football. The Bengals defense, 3rd most rushing yards allowed per game this season on the ground here. And a lot of it's got to do with seeing some of the new faces in that secondary. Again, are we going to see Seattle try to exploit that? This is a young secondary. This is a Nick Scott and a young secondary, you should say. But this is a secondary that's going to grow. It's going to improve. We've seen some sparks. We've seen DJ Turner make some plays. We've seen Dax Hill make some plays. And we can expect him to continue to do that. The question is, how did they fare this week? I think the Bengals defense, this is a game where you say they just need to make a couple stops, make the 2 or 3 stops, and the Bengals offense needs to try to stay on the football field if they want to win this football game. Allow that defense to stay rested up, allow them to stay healthy, because right now, they can stay rested up. They got a chance to really catch Seattle at a great time. Again, they had the bye week. We're still waiting on injury reports. We haven't heard all of the news yet, but there was a point in time where Seattle was playing down 4 starting offensive linemen. Last Monday night against the New York Giants, they've been decimated with injuries, and we'll see who ends up playing this week. But with Trey Hendrickson, who's been as hot as anybody out there, 6 sacks now in a season, going up against that offensive line, you would think they can make some noise here and get some pressure on that quarterback, possibly force a turnover or 2 out of Geno Smith. We shall see. It's really impressive. Again, we go back to how impressive, how good of a coach Pete Carroll is. When you talk about the injury, you talk about losing that many offensive line. When I'm talking about one of the youngest offensive lines in the history of the NFL that Seattle is running out there due to injuries, and you think they go out there and still win football. It's not just win football. They dominated the football game. Jamal Adams comes over to this team, excellent player. But he can't catch a break with the injuries. He left again last week. He just comes back and he gets hurt again. The concussion concerns there. We'll see. We'll get a further update there when the injury reports, the practices start coming out here. Right now, we'll see. Hopefully he can play, because man, that's a tough break for him. He's an excellent player. The injuries get this guy. Ultimately, though, I do think this is one of those games. It's which team gets ahead early, because we've seen this in the past, especially with the Bengals, where they play these good run-heavy teams, these teams that can move the football down the field. You wear that defense down early, the Bengals start slow. And unfortunately, when you run that rock, and you're running 10, 12, 13-play drives a couple times consistently early, that defense starts to get worn down. So even if that offense starts going, it's really difficult for any defense in the league to be on the field so much. So really, it's a game of can we see more of a balance? Can we see the Bengals possess the football a little bit more than the Seahawks? And the Seahawks, again, that's what you want to do. You want to keep the football at Joe Burrow's hands. If you keep that football at Joe Burrow's hands and you get a chance to get some pass rush on that quarterback, some rested defenders on that quarterback, make some noise, force him to throw that football a little early, you're going to win this football game. But if the Bengals can do what the Bengals did last week, the Bengals can do really what they did the last 2 weeks, where they move the football down the field well on the first drive. And if they can continue to build on that throughout the game, I think the Bengals will be in good shape here. We'll see Joe Burrow have another big game building off the last one. I think right now, when you watch the way Joe Burrow played last week, again, Arizona's been playing teams tough. You watch the way he played last week. You think he's going to build on that going back home. I think the Bengals know they need to go 3-3 into the break. I think the Bengals are going to find a way to win this one. I think we're going to see a relatively high-scoring game. Might not be a lot of punts in this. We're going to say Bengals 27, Seahawks 24 in a good one. Love you guys' thoughts. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time.